The waiting fleet. The alien fleet floated in the darkness of space, their ships shining like silver blades under the cold light of distant stars. Hundreds of vessels stood in perfect formation, engines humming softly, ready to welcome what they believed was a weak and harmless arrival. To them, humanity was nothing more than a young race, untested, unproven, and foolish enough to think they belonged among the great powers of the galaxy. Admiral Korvek, leader of the fleet, leaned back in his command chair. His eyes glowed faintly as he looked at the screen in front of him. A single signal pulsed across the scanner. A human vessel moving slowly toward their location. It was small, it was fragile. It was exactly what he expected. Pathetic, Korvek muttered. His officers around him laughed, mocking Earth and its so-called bravery. They believed this moment would be a grand lesson to humans. A reminder that the galaxy had rules, and those rules were written by the strong far behind him. The galaxy watched through live transmissions. Dozens of worlds tuned in, eager to see the humiliation of Earth. Commentators whispered in alien tongues, predicting how fast the fragile ship would be captured, stripped and displayed as proof of humanity's weakness. But not all were so certain. A few younger officers frowned at the readings. The signal was steady, but the energy coming from the ship was unusual. It did not match the pattern of a normal shuttle. One officer raised his concern, but Korvek waved it away. "It is only a shuttle," the admiral said. "Humans cannot build anything greater." The ship drew closer. Its silhouette shimmered on the screen. At first it looked small, just a dot against the stars. But as the minutes passed, the dot grew larger. Shadows stretched across the alien ships as the vessel neared. Its size was far greater than expected. The alien fleet adjusted position. Some ships backed away slightly, nervous. Their commanders barked at them for cowardice, insisting there was nothing to fear. The galaxy watched with amusement, no one expecting what would happen next. On the human vessel, the crew sat in silence. The captain stood tall, his face calm. His ship moved with deliberate speed, not rushing, not slowing. Every movement felt heavy, like the step of a predator in the grass. Unseen but deadly, the alien officers laughed again. But their laughter was weaker this time. The closer the vessel came, the harder it was to deny its scale. The shuttle was nearly the length of their largest destroyer, and its surface shimmered with strange armor, dark and sharp like stone forged in fire. Korvek's smile began to fade. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Magnify," he ordered. The screen shifted, showing the human ship in detail. The silence that filled the command deck was louder than any explosion. This was no shuttle. The vessel carried weapon mounts across its hull, long rail-like barrels glowing faintly with charged energy. Its sides were layered with heavy plating, unlike anything seen in common trade vessels. Strange towers rose from its surface, holding arrays that pulsed with light. The young officer who had warned earlier now whispered, "Admiral, this is not a transport." His words trembled. "This is a warship." The fleet stiffened. Their formation wavered. Some ships pulled back farther. Their scanners now confirmed terrifying numbers. Weapon systems, shield generators, reactor cores far too powerful for a simple shuttle. Still, Korvek refused to admit weakness. "It is a bluff," he growled. "Humans built a shell to frighten us, but it cannot match our fleet." He stood tall, trying to fill the silence with his authority. "Hold formation." But deep inside, doubt spread like a shadow. The galaxy commentators grew silent as well. The mocking words dried up, replaced by uneasy whispers. Entire empires watched with wide eyes, realizing that something unexpected was happening. The ship kept coming, its engines glowed a steady blue. Its presence swallowed the space around it. The alien fleet, once mocking and confident, now shifted nervously on board the human vessel. The captain finally gave a single command. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of centuries of survival. "Maintain course." The ship did not blink, did not brake, did not slow. It came forward like destiny itself, and in that moment, the galaxy began to realize a terrible truth. Humanity had not sent a shuttle to this meeting. Humanity had sent something else. The darkness of space seemed to thicken. The air on the alien bridge felt heavy. Their screens glowed with the shape of the human vessel, and for the first time in many years, Admiral Korvek felt something he thought he had forgotten: fear. Because the shuttle they expected was not a shuttle at all. It was something far worse, and the galaxy, watching with millions of eyes, held its breath. The first glimpse, the alien fleet held its breath as the vessel drew nearer. The scanners buzzed with warnings, beams of data flashing across displays. Numbers rose higher than any officer had ever seen before. The young ones whispered among themselves, their voices tight with fear. The veterans stayed quiet, but their eyes betrayed unease. On the flagship, Admiral Korvek's jaw tightened. His claws tapped the arm of his chair as he leaned forward. "Magnify again," he ordered. The screen zoomed, showing the human vessel in clear detail. What they had mocked as a shuttle now loomed like a shadow carved from iron and flame. The hull was vast, its surface dark as obsidian, but lined with faint glowing veins that pulsed with power. At each corner, massive towers stretched outward, bristling with cannons that gleamed under the starlight. Strange weapon mounts lined its body, some familiar, others completely alien. Nothing about it was peaceful. Nothing about it was harmless. "This cannot be," one officer stammered. His fingers shook as he adjusted the readings. "Its energy output matches 10 cruisers combined," another officer spoke. "Shields layered in ways we have never recorded before." Their voices overlapped in panic. The bridge filled with fear. Korvek slammed his claw against the chair. "Silence," he growled. "This is a trick, a showpiece, meant to frighten us. Humanity is weak. They cannot build such a thing." But even he did not believe his own words. The ship grew larger on the screen, its engines glowing steady and strong. Each pulse of light carried weight, as though the stars themselves bent around it. The alien fleet shifted in formation. Some ships pulled away, their captains disobeying orders out of instinct. They felt something in their bones, something primal. Danger. On board the human warship, silence ruled. The crew moved with discipline, no wasted words, no wasted breath. The captain stood firm, his eyes locked forward. He knew the galaxy was watching. He knew their mockery had turned to fear. But he gave no speech, no warning. No threat. Instead, the ship itself spoke. Its very presence sent a message louder than any words. Humanity had built something no one expected. Not out of pride, but out of necessity. Deep in the vessel's heart, ancient engines roared with quiet power. Systems hummed, railguns charged, plasma batteries warmed. It was like a predator sharpening its claws before the strike. But moving slow, patient, confident, the galaxy commentators whispered across networks. Their laughter was gone, replaced by a growing dread. Some tried to explain it as an illusion. Others claimed it was stolen technology. But every scan confirmed the truth. This was no stolen relic. This was something new, something born from Earth itself. One young alien lieutenant whispered on the flagship, "Admiral, if this is their shuttle, what must their warships look like?" His words hung heavy in the air. No one answered, because the question itself was terrifying. Korvek's eyes narrowed. He clenched his jaw, trying to maintain control. "Prepare the fleet," he commanded. "We will show them our strength." His voice echoed across the command deck. But the strength in his tone was forced. The first wave of fighters launched. Hundreds of small crafts swarmed forward. They darted like insects toward the massive vessel. Lasers primed, their engines burned bright as they closed in. Inside the human ship, the captain gave a single nod. A panel lit up, cannons rotated. Targeting systems locked. In silence, the crew prepared. No cheers, no speeches, only cold focus. The alien fleet expected the warship to hesitate, to panic under the wave of fighters, but what they saw froze their blood. The human vessel did not dodge. It did not retreat. Instead, it opened its weapon bays, and in a single coordinated motion, beams of light and steel roared into space. Railguns fired, their projectiles faster than sight. Fighters exploded like fragile glass. Plasma arcs spread in wide sweeps, burning through swarms in seconds. The first attack wave vanished almost instantly. Gasps filled the alien bridge. Officers looked to Korvek with pale faces. The admiral's hands gripped his chair so tightly that cracks formed under his claws. Still, he refused to speak his fear. But the galaxy had already seen enough. The first glimpse of humanity's shuttle had shown the truth. This was not a mistake. This was not an illusion. This was Earth's answer. The ship kept moving forward, slow and steady. The debris of destroyed fighters drifted behind it like ashes in the wind. Its guns glowed faintly, ready for more. Its shields shimmered as energy waves slid harmlessly across its surface. The fleet, once so sure of victory, now felt the weight of something greater. They had prepared for a child, but they had met a giant. And in that terrible silence as the galaxy watched, one thought burned in every mind. If this was the first glimpse of Earth's strength, how much more had they been hiding? The deadliest warship. The alien fleet drifted in silence. The wreckage of their fighters floated in the void, burning like sparks against the endless dark. The shuttle they had mocked stood unshaken, its guns still glowing faintly, its armor unbroken. Every alien officer stared at their screens in disbelief. What they had just witnessed should have been impossible. One vessel had erased an entire fighter wing in less than a minute. With no effort, no hesitation, on the flagship, Admiral Korvac forced his voice steady. "Calm yourselves, this is nothing. It is still only one ship." Yet even as he spoke, his words rang hollow. His officers no longer trusted their own strength. They looked upon the human vessel and saw something different, something beyond their understanding. The scanners continued to pour in data, shield readings thicker than any capital ship, reactors burning with power that seemed endless, hull plating layered with strange alloys that reflected their scans. What they thought was a shuttle was larger than 3 destroyers fused together. It was not just a warship, it was a fortress. Whispers spread through the alien crews. Some swore the vessel's name was already known, a human word carried in secret. They called it Invictus, a name that meant unconquered. Others whispered it was Earth's greatest weapon. Hidden away until now, the galaxy had always mocked humans for their choices. While other races built teleporters, lightspeed trade routes, and luxurious stations, humans built weapons. Humanity's history was full of war, and instead of forgetting it, they sharpened it. They chose to build railguns before teleporters, battleships before cruise liners, defenses before monuments. The result floated before them now. The warship Invictus was the embodiment of human will. It was long and dark, shaped like a blade meant to cut the stars. Its railguns stretched across its spine, massive barrels glowing as coils charged. Plasma turrets rotated on its sides, aiming with silent precision. Missile bays lay hidden under heavy panels. Ready to unleash storms, its hull was layered with reactive armor. Built not for beauty but for survival. The alien fleets had seen weapons before, but never like this. This was not just technology. This was desperation turned into strength. Humanity had survived endless wars on its own world, and every lesson learned was carved into this ship's design. On the bridge of the Invictus, the human captain stood calm. His eyes moved across the monitors. Each officer under his command worked in silence. They did not cheer at their victory. They did not gloat, they knew the galaxy watched. And their silence was the loudest message of all. The captain thought of Earth, of its long history of blood and fire. Humanity had been underestimated, laughed at, treated as children. But humans had always known the truth. Respect was not given. It was taken. The Invictus was proof. Humanity's answer to a galaxy that demanded submission. On the alien flagship, Korvac's hands trembled. He tried to mask it, but every officer saw. They whispered among themselves, doubt turning into dread. One lieutenant leaned close, his voice shaking. "Admiral, this is not a bluff. They built this ship for war. They built it to fight us all," Korvac roared back, desperate to hold control. "No, it is one vessel, we are many. Crush it and prove the galaxy wrong." But his eyes betrayed him, his heart pounded with fear. The alien fleet prepared another strike, but hesitation gripped them. They had seen what the human weapons could do. They had seen their fighters vanish like dust. To face that again felt like suicide. Meanwhile, the galaxy itself leaned closer. Broadcasts carried the images of the warship across worlds. Millions of eyes widened as the truth spread. Entire empires who once called humanity weak now whispered their name with fear. The humans had not sent a shuttle. They had sent a symbol, a message to the galaxy that Earth would not kneel, a message that humanity, fragile and small, had teeth sharper than anyone imagined. The warship Invictus moved forward again, its railguns glowing brighter. The stars seemed dimmer around it. Its shadow stretched across the alien fleet, and in that moment the galaxy realized a terrifying truth. The deadliest warship was not just Earth's weapon. It was humanity's declaration. They had survived too much to ever bow down, and now, the galaxy would pay for underestimating them. The first strike. The silence of space felt heavy. The alien fleet held formation, but their courage was crumbling. The warship Invictus drifted forward like a shadow of doom, its weapons glowing softly. The galaxy watched. Millions of eyes fixed on the moment. Admiral Korvac's voice thundered across his bridge. "Prepare all ships, fire on my command," his words echoed. But his officers hesitated. Their claws shook as they entered commands. Some avoided looking at the screen, afraid of the vessel that loomed before them. The alien fleet adjusted, cannons rotating, missile bays opening, fighters regrouped in shaky formation. Their ships outnumbered the humans 100 to 1, yet none of them felt powerful. None of them felt safe on the Invictus. The human captain stood calm. He did not rush, he did not panic. His crew sat silent, their fingers moving across glowing panels. All systems were ready, railguns charged, plasma batteries warmed, missile tubes unlocked. The galaxy waited for words. They expected a human speech, a threat or a plea for mercy, but no words came. The captain simply raised his hand and gave the order, fire. The railguns roared. Metal slugs the size of vehicles tore through space faster than sight. The soundless explosions shattered 2 alien destroyers in an instant. Their hulls cracked apart, fragments spinning into the void. Plasma arcs followed, glowing streams that swept across a formation of cruisers. Shields melted, armor boiled, whole vessels broke like dry wood in flame. The alien fleet screamed across comms. Orders turned into panic. Voices overlapped, shields collapsing, engines failing. "We are burning." Their perfect formation dissolved, ships scattered in chaos. Admiral Korvac slammed his claws into his chair. "Hold the line! Fight back!" His command was desperate, his voice cracked under pressure. Alien battleships fired back, beams of energy lashing against the human vessel. But the Invictus absorbed the blows, shields shimmered. Armor flared, nothing broke, nothing bent. The human warship advanced without slowing. Another railgun fired, a battleship vanished. Split in 2 by the strike. Missiles streaked from hidden bays, weaving through defenses, each one hit its mark. Entire carriers erupted in fire, the galaxy gasped. Entire planets sat in silence, entire councils froze in shock. This was no battle, this was slaughter. One human ship against a fleet, and the fleet was losing on the flagship. Korvac's eyes widened as another of his ships exploded on screen. His officers no longer obeyed. Some whispered of retreat. Others begged for surrender. His voice thundered again. "We cannot retreat. The galaxy is watching," but his own heart whispered another truth. If they stayed, they would die on the Invictus. The captain gave no cheer. His face remained hard. He knew this battle was not for pride, it was for survival. Humanity had been mocked, pushed, threatened. This strike was their answer. The warship moved closer. Its shadow swallowed the flagship's view, each cannon glowing brighter. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but it was like ants facing fire. No formation held. No weapon broke the human defenses. The railguns thundered again, a capital ship cracked apart, its explosion lighting the void. Plasma fire swept across another line of vessels. Their screams echoed across channels, filling the galaxy's airwaves with the sound of defeat. Korvac rose from his chair, his voice shaking for the first time. What are these humans?" His words were barely a whisper, but every officer heard. The galaxy had asked the same question. They had expected a shuttle, weak and fragile, instead. They had seen a monster born from Earth's long history of survival. The Invictus did not stop. Its weapons reloaded, glowing once more. The alien fleet fell apart, their pride burned into ashes. And in that moment, the galaxy understood. Humanity was not a child race. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was a storm, a force that could not be ignored. The first strike was over, but the warship was not finished. The captain stood silent. Watching the destruction his vessel had unleashed, he knew the galaxy trembled. He knew this was only the beginning for the aliens. Fear had taken root. For humanity, respect had been earned in fire. And as the wreckage of alien ships drifted through the void, one truth became clear. The galaxy would never forget the day Earth's warship fired its first strike. Fear spreads through the galaxy. The battle was over. The void where the alien fleet once stood was now littered with burning wreckage. Ships drifted broken, their flames glowing against the endless dark. The human warship Invictus floated untouched, silent, its cannons cooling, its engines steady across the galaxy. The images spread like fire. Broadcasts carried the battle to every world, every council, every throne. Entire populations who had laughed at humanity now watched in silence. Their eyes wide, their voices trembling on distant planets. Alien children huddled close to screens. Their parents whispered in fear. This is the human warship. This is what they built. No one had believed humans could rise so quickly. No one had imagined they would dare challenge the galaxy. On the trading hubs, merchants fell quiet. Their usual mockery of Earth's technology died in their throats. They had always joked that humans were primitive, that they built railguns instead of teleporters. Now those same railguns had torn apart fleets stronger than anything merchants had ever seen. In the great halls of alien rulers, arguments erupted. Some leaders shouted for war, claiming humanity must be crushed before they grew stronger. Others trembled, saying war was impossible. They had just seen a single warship destroy an entire fleet. If humanity had more ships like the Invictus, then no empire was safe. In one council chamber, a senator whispered the question that haunted them all. If they sent one ship to meet us, how many more are hidden behind their world? The chamber fell silent because none could answer. Fear turned into respect, and respect turned into calculation. The galaxy no longer looked at humanity as children. They looked at them as a threat. Some saw them as equals, some saw them as monsters, but all agreed. Earth could not be ignored anymore. Meanwhile, in the shadows of smaller empires, whispers spread among rebels and outcasts. They looked at the humans with awe. For centuries they had been crushed under the weight of mighty empires. Now they saw hope. If humanity could rise, then maybe the empires could fall. The Invictus itself became a legend within hours. Its name carried from one system to the next, Invictus, unconquered, unstoppable. The word burned into the memory of every watcher. It was no longer just a ship, it was a symbol. On the alien flagship's wreckage, survivors whispered their terror into open channels. It was not a shuttle, it was never a shuttle. It was a warship like nothing we have seen. Their cries reached across networks, fueling the fear. In academies across the stars, students of war rewrote their lessons. The galaxy's entire balance had shifted. Humanity had changed the rules. They had not asked for permission. They had not waited for recognition. They had taken it with fire. Back on Earth, the news arrived as well. Crowds filled the streets, staring at broadcasts of the Invictus's victory. Some cheered, others wept for the first time. Humanity saw itself not as small, but as strong. The fear of the galaxy was now Earth's shield. But even among humans, voices whispered of danger. They knew the galaxy would not forgive humiliation. They knew enemies would rise in the shadows. Plans would be made, fleets would gather. Humanity's path was forever changed. On the Invictus, the captain listened to the reports. He heard the whispers of fear echoing across comms, but he remained silent. He understood what had begun. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows and into the storm. In alien taverns, smugglers whispered, "The humans have fire in their blood." In royal palaces, kings clenched their thrones tighter. The humans cannot be allowed to rise further. In rebel camps, outcasts raised their heads. The humans are the spark. Fear was everywhere. But it was not simple fear. It was layered, twisted, complex. Some feared destruction, some feared change, and some feared the end of their power. And in that fear, humanity found strength. The galaxy had always demanded Earth's submission, but now the galaxy was forced to respect Earth's defiance. No matter how hard they tried to deny it, no matter how much they mocked it, the truth was now carved into history. The day the galaxy expected a shuttle but met Earth's deadliest warship was the day everything changed. And far away in the councils of the great empires, rulers leaned forward and whispered the question that would decide the future. What will humanity do next? Humanity's message. The wreckage of the alien fleet drifted like broken bones across the stars. Fires burned in the silence of space, dying slowly against the endless void. The Invictus stood in the center, its armor glowing faintly, its guns cooling after the storm. Across the galaxy, silence spread. Billions of voices held their breath, waiting, hoping, fearing. The aliens expected humanity to boast, to roar in triumph, to gloat over their broken enemies. But the human warship remained quiet. Its engines hummed, its shadow stretched long. On the bridge of the Invictus, the crew worked without noise. Each officer focused on their station, eyes sharp, hands steady. They had destroyed an entire fleet, but their faces showed no pride, no joy, only duty. The captain stood at the center, his hands clasped behind his back. His gaze was fixed on the screens. Watching the galaxy watch him, he knew this was the moment. Not the battle, not the weapons, but now. This message would echo louder than any cannon. He pressed a single control. His voice carried through the void, not as a shout, not as a threat, but calm, steady, sharp as steel. "We asked for peace," the captain said. His words echoed across alien networks. "You answered with war." Across councils and thrones, rulers froze. Soldiers leaned closer to their comms. Civilians and markets stopped walking. The human voice carried everywhere. The captain continued, "You expected weakness? You expected submission? You expected a shuttle." His eyes narrowed as the screen lit with the faces of alien leaders. "Instead, you saw what we have built. Not for conquest, not for pride, but for survival." The words pierced deeper than weapons. Aliens shifted uneasily, their pride cracking. For centuries they had ruled. They had demanded respect, they had laughed at Earth. Now humanity spoke as an equal. The captain's tone did not rise. It did not soften, it stayed cold, unshaking. "We will not kneel, we will not beg. We will not be silent," his eyes sharpened. "We are humanity, and we will never bow to your chains." The galaxy trembled. The words spread across empires like fire on dry ground. Some rulers slammed their fists in rage. How dare they speak so? Others lowered their eyes in fear, understanding that the warship had already proved those words true. On smaller worlds, citizens cheered. Outcasts and rebels raised their fists, they whispered. "The humans have spoken for all of us." For the first time, they saw hope in the stars. The alien survivors of the battle sent broken transmissions. Their voices cracked. "We faced them, we fought them." They did not break. Their fear only fueled the legend back on Earth. Crowds roared as they heard their captain's voice carried across the galaxy. They felt unity, strength, and something new, respect for too long. Humans had felt small in the stars. Now they felt tall. The captain spoke his final words. Calm as ever. "We do not seek your war, but if you bring it, you will face more than this." He glanced at his ship. His crew, the legacy of Earth's struggles. "This is our answer, remember it well." The transmission ended. Silence returned, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of fear. In alien palaces, rulers whispered, "If this is their answer with one warship, what happens if they unleash 10? In academies, teachers rewrote their lessons. Adding humanity to the list of powers in rebel camps, fighters whispered. The spark has been lit. The message had done what no weapon could. It reshaped the galaxy's vision of Earth. Humanity was no longer a shadow. Humanity was no longer a weak voice in the corner of councils. Humanity had declared itself, and the galaxy could not ignore it. The Invictus turned slowly. Engines burned steady blue. It left the battlefield behind, not rushing, not hiding. It moved with the calm of a predator who knew no one could challenge it. The wreckage of the alien fleet remained as a reminder, a warning, a scar on the stars. The galaxy did not sleep that night. From the richest empires to the smallest colonies, one question whispered across every world: what would humanity do next? The aftermath. The stars were quiet again. The battlefield drifted in silence, wreckage glowing faintly like dying embers. The alien fleet was gone, shattered, defeated, and humiliated. And at the center of it all, the human warship Invictus drifted steady. Untouched across the galaxy, silence held. Entire networks replayed the images of the battle. The moment when the aliens expected a shuttle, and instead met Earth's most deadly warship. It was not just history. It was legend born in a single day. On the alien homeworlds, fear spread faster than light. Rulers gathered in secret halls, their voices tight with panic. Some demanded revenge. Others whispered surrender. None could agree. But all knew one truth. Humanity had changed everything. In the great council of the galaxy, the air was heavy. Representatives shouted, argued, their voices sharp. Some accused humanity of arrogance. Others demanded a united strike, but beneath the anger was fear. Every leader knew that attacking Earth again might only bring more warships like the Invictus. Whispers filled the chamber. If one ship destroyed a fleet, how many more do they hide? The question froze them all on distant colonies. Citizens spoke of humans with awe. Children repeated the name of the ship, Invictus, over and over. In taverns, smugglers raised glasses and muttered, "The humans have teeth sharper than we thought." Rebels and outcasts felt hope bloom. If humanity could stand against the empires, maybe they could too. The fear turned to respect. But respect turned into uncertainty. No one knew what humanity wanted. No one knew what they would do next. Back on Earth, the people filled the streets. They watched the captain's message replay again and again. His calm voice had reached across the stars. They cheered, they wept, they felt united for the first time in history. Humanity did not see itself as small. They saw themselves as powerful. On the bridge of the Invictus, silence reigned once more. The crew did not celebrate. Their victory was not a feast, it was a warning. They knew the galaxy's eyes were still on them. The captain stood still, his gaze locked on the dark ahead. His ship was strong, but his mind was heavier than steel. He whispered to himself, unheard by the galaxy. This is only the beginning. The Invictus turned slowly. Its engines flared blue. It began its journey back to Earth, not fleeing, not hiding, but moving with the calm of a giant behind it. The ruins of the alien fleet remained, a scar on the stars, a warning to anyone who would challenge them. But even as the warship moved away, messages poured across the galaxy. Some empires rallied fleets in secret, promising revenge. Others sent hidden envoys, desperate to ally with humans before war consumed them. A few whispered of fear so deep they considered abandoning entire star systems. The galaxy was divided, but in one thing they were united. Humanity could no longer be dismissed. In the shadows of deep space, spies whispered to their masters, Earth has shown only one ship. Do we dare believe they have only one? Their masters stayed silent, eyes filled with dread. On one world, a young alien child looked up at the night sky and asked, will the humans come here? The parent had no answer. Legends began to spread already. Stories of how the humans built their weapons in secret, how they turned weakness into strength. Some tales were exaggerated, others true, but all carried the same warning: never underestimate Earth. The galaxy had once demanded Earth submission, but now the galaxy itself trembled. The warship Invictus had turned fear into reality, and in that fear lay a truth deeper than steel. Humanity was not just fighting to survive. Humanity was rising to lead. The aftershock of that battle would last for centuries. Some would see the humans as saviors, others as destroyers, but none would ever again see them as children. The Invictus faded into the distance, its engines burning steady, its silence louder than any speech, its shadow longer than any fleet. And as the galaxy watched, a question grew heavier than any weapon, heavier than any fleet. A question whispered from throne to slum, from council chamber to battlefield. If humanity had shown them only one warship, what else were they hiding?